I'd like to draw our attention to some aspects of the Iranian state that, while they're in plain sight, are often ignored in the rhetoric of American leaders and in the American media. We typically think of the United Kingdom as being the country that shares the most in common with ours. That's why most comparative politics classes, including ours, started with the United Kingdom. But there is one significant way that we are more similar to Iran. Like the United States, Iran has a separation of power, and a very strange and unusual one. Iran is generally considered an Islamic state dominated by its supreme religious leader. That's completely accurate. But for every Islamic governing institution, there is a separate, equivalent, secular, elected Republican institution. After the Iranian Revolution in 1979, partly because there were both secular and religious factions working together at the beginning of this revolutionary period, and partly because a secular state had already been built up under the Shah, the new revolutionary government did not dismantle the old secular state, but built new religious institutions around it. Even as, to a certain extent, the old secular institutions were democratized. The president and the parliament are at least nominally representative Republican institutions elected by Iranian voters. The president is distinct from the supreme leader. The Council of Ministers plays roughly the same role as the presidential cabinet in the United States, in that they are nominated by the president as his advisors, but subject to approval by the parliament. But each of these elected secular bodies are balanced, or more than balanced, by a non-elected religious counterpart. The supreme leader, the other more important executive. The Council of Guardians plays the role of a second house. No law passed by Parliament will become law unless it is also approved by the Council of Guardians. And the 12 members on the Council of Guardians are either directly appointed, half of them, or indirectly by the supreme leader. Further, although the president generally takes care of day-to-day executive matters running the country, any decision can be overruled by that of the supreme leader. We might think of the role of the Assembly of Experts as being something equivalent to our electoral college. When a supreme leader dies, the Assembly of Experts picks his successor. It has been the hope of moderate reformists to gather a majority in the Assembly of Experts, which is popularly elected, to gather a majority so that when the current supreme leader, an aged man, dies, they will be able to get a reformist candidate chosen as his successor. In practice, however, there's a limit to how radical or even reformist members of the Assembly of Experts are going to be, because the Guardian Council and the Supreme Leader have a veto power on who runs for that position. The Council of Guardians officially, and the Supreme Leader in reality, also can and regularly does disqualify candidates for the parliament and or for the presidency. In effect, what this means is that elected officials in Iran tend to range only from the hard clerical right to pragmatic, conservative centrist reformers. Real reformers, more radical Democrats, small d reformers, are represented among the people and among social movements, but rarely get a chance to attain the presidency or a significant number of seats in the parliament. We'll continue in Iran Part 2.